Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have a very simple fun fold card idea that I want to share, and I have two different ways you can use this fun fold in your card making. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different card ideas that I want to share, which feature a very simple fun fold card, and these cards are also in masculine style. So I will be featuring a variety of products from the Let's Go Fishing suite, which is a collection of products from Stampin' Up! That just came out in the annual catalog. So I will be using the Gone Fishing bundle, and this particular bundle has just a variety of images that you can use to decorate your cards. And with Father's Day coming up, this is a perfect set for your dad if he loves to fish. Now, this particular bundle also includes a coordinating die set. I will also be using the Twisted Rope 3D embossing folders, so I'll be using that to create some of the pieces for the card. And then, of course, the Let's Go Fishing Designer Series paper. So let me show you how to make these cards. Okay, so let's start out by talking about this particular card. So the cards that I'm sharing today are going to use the exact same measurements for the card base. The only difference is that this one I decorated in landscape style, and then the other card I decorated in portrait style. So let's talk about how to make the card base. So you're going to start with a piece of cardstock, which is cut at 4 1/4 by 11 inches. Then you're going to take that piece of paper and you're going to put it in so that the 11-inch side is towards the top of your trimmer. And we're just going to score this piece in half at 5 1/2 inches. And then the next thing I did is I just cut off a 1-inch piece from one of the ends of this particular cardstock. It doesn't really matter which end. All right, so here's what you have. You have a little 1-inch by 4 1/4 inch piece. That's the piece that I cut off the card front. And then we have just our standard card base. Okay, our standard card base with a little piece missing. So I am going to show you how to create the card in landscape style. But again, you can use this card base to create a card in portrait style as well. It just depends on which way you want to decorate it, this way or this way. Okay, so let's start out by decorating the front of our card. So the first thing I did is I cut a 4 1/4 by 4-inch piece of just one of the patterned papers from the Let's Go Fishing Designer Series paper pack. So I'm just going to adhere this to this front flap of the card. The next thing I'm going to do is cut a little piece of designer paper. So this is 3/4 by 4 1/4 inches, and that's going to go on this piece that we cut off the front here. So I'm using pecan pie. That is the color that I'm using for the card base here. And so I'm just going to add this piece right down the center. So that little piece that we cut off, we're not going to waste that. We're going to use that in our card design. All right, so this is going to get adhered to the card front. But before I do that, I want to place my vellum. So I have a 2 by 3 1/4 inch piece of vellum. So I want to make sure that I have enough room for my vellum here. So I'm going to add this. And we'll just add it right about there. And then we can add this piece and we can kind of cover up that edge of the vellum. All right, so we'll put that on there. Okay, so that just creates a really fun little design. And so now we can decorate it with some of the images from the Gone Fishing bundle. So the next thing I did is I just used one of the dies from this set. So let me bring this back here. There is this large die here where you can create a tackle box, and all the little pieces that kind of fall out of the tackle box once you use the die, those are the pieces that I use to create my greeting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some linen thread and we're going to create just a little bit of a design up here. It kind of looks like loose fishing line. That's what we're going to create. So what I did is just wrapped this linen thread around my fingers twice. And then I just snipped off the end here. And then I just pushed it together to create like two little loops on each side. And I used a little bit of washi tape just to kind of hold this together. And you can use washi tape or scotch tape, whatever you have on hand. And I'm just gonna squish this together here. And then what I did is I just snipped these bows apart. I know I created really nice bows and now I'm snipping them apart. But I just want the look of, you know, loose fishing line at the top of this little greeting here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just add a dimensional right here on the side. And then what I did is I just kind of twisted this a little bit in the center here. And I'm going to add some glue right around that dimensional. And we are just going to lay this right in that glue. So while that's drying, I'm going to add some additional dimensionals. All right, so I think that's probably getting close to drying here. So we're just going to peel off these little things from our dimensionals. And I'm going to add this greeting right here over, kind of right over where I have the glue mark. And then now you can just kind of fluff these little pieces and kind of move them around so it gives it that kind of rustic look, I guess. All right, the next thing I did is I just cut out a variety of different little fish images from one of the pieces of the Let's Go Fishing Designer Series paper. So this particular image here, one of the images which I cut out, there's a coordinating die that fits on that fish. So you can use that die to cut out that particular fish. And then the other one I just cut out with a scissors. So I'm just going to add these on the side of this little greeting here, and we'll just hold these up a little bit. So it kind of gives the impression that the fish is attached to that. And then I'll just add this other little fish. So there's a lot of different little images that you can use to, you know, decorate your cards. You can even stamp them as well. And then the last thing I did is I just stamped a little lure. So I used some pecan pie to stamp the outline, and I used some wild wheat to stamp the inside part of this. And so that I'm just going to kind of put up here, and we'll just kind of fluff this around a little bit. So it gives it a really super nice look. So now let me show you how to decorate the inside of the card, because part of the inside of the card is going to show to the outside. So the first thing I did is I did a little partial embossing on a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of very vanilla cardstock. So you can see I only embossed this much of the cardstock. And if you want to do partial embossing, it's very simple. You just slide your piece of cardstock into the embossing folder just to the section that you want to emboss. And then you run this through your embossing machine. And the embossing folder will only emboss the part that is inside the folder. It will not emboss, obviously, the rest of it. So that's what I did with this. And then I took a little bit of pecan pie and a little blending brush. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of texture there. I'm going to use actually the inside of my card base here as scratch paper. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color just lightly across, just to kind of highlight different parts of that embossing folder. And since this is going to go on the inside of the card, you won't even see the little bit of smudging that I put on my card base here. because that will get covered up with this. So the embossed area is going to go to the right side of the card base. So it's on the inside of the card towards the right. And that way, when you close the card, you'll be able to see that embossing. So it looks really cool when you close the card. And then I'll show you how I created that little lure. So there are 2 images in this set. There's the outline image, and then there's the solid image, or the image you use to fill it in or add color. So I just kind of used that same lure, and I just stamped it on the inside using the pecan pie ink. And then I added some wild wheat, and that's what I used for the fill-in color. And I like this because it actually kind of gives the illusion that it's green. It looks a little green there. This is just one of those dark yellows, but it kind of turns out green, so it looks cool. And then I just used my Stampin' Up marker and just kind of drew a little line up towards the top just to kind of finish it off. So that is what the card looks like. And then you can add whatever embellishments you want. I used a couple of these rustic dots, and I just put one on the top and one on the bottom. So it'll make a great Father's Day card if you use the Father's Day sentiment. It also makes a really great retirement card. Now, as I said earlier, you can create this in landscape style or you can create it in portrait style. So the measurements for creating it in portrait style are exactly the same for creating the card base. You still cut off that 1-inch piece and create this card base the same way I created it over here. Only this time I decorated it a little bit differently. I used one of the dies in the set, which creates this little tackle box that I have on the card front here. So I just cut that out and then created a variety of different little fishing tools and put that inside the tackle box, put my greeting down here on the bottom, and then that's what the inside looks like. So super fun, lots of different ways that you can use this fun fold card and that you can use this particular suite in your card making. Okay, so there you go. Now you have 2 different ways that you can use this very easy fun fold card in your card making. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.